Welcome back to the UFC Pros Pick Show. I am James Lynch. He is James Krause. And look who's back. It's the general himself, Nick Kalikas, back here on the program. Nick, how's it going?
Been great, man. I appreciate you guys filling the void, and it's been great. I've had so much fun watching you guys do the show. It's awesome. So I appreciate you guys filling it for me. Yeah,
and you've been killing it on UFC On the Line, which, by the way, if you haven't watched that, go check it out. Nick's been doing a great job over there on UFC Fight Pass and everywhere else you can see it. Got to mention our promo code, and we have a special offer now as well. So we talked about this. We talk about it every week, the promo code. Sign up, betdsi.eu, use the promo code UFC to get a match deposit bonus. But now there's a bonus. You also get a James Krause autograph photo. So we wanted to give you guys a little bit more incentive to sign up. Signups are huge for us. If you guys could really help us out there, even if you've already signed up for an account, spread the word. It really means a lot to us, and it really helps keep this show going. So if you guys could do that, that would be a big solid from us over here. Let's quickly go over last week's results. We did pretty decent. James Krause, of course, cashing with the play with Courtney Casey. She made easy work of her opponent. The Max Holloway KO. I mean, Max was throwing the kitchen sink there at Yair Rodriguez. Unfortunately, that didn't come through. And then my prop bet was Song Yadong. Unfortunately, did not cash. For whatever reason, he decided the one fight to finish his opponent. It ends up happening early in that fight with Julio Arce. And then my parlay almost had it. I had Felicia Spencer, Casey, and then it was Thiago Moises. I don't know what happened. Bad night at the office. What are you going to say? But like I said, we're not here to hide anything, and we'll obviously, especially me personally, want to do a lot better this week. Okay, let's get into this event. We've got UFC Vegas 43 this Saturday. Main event, Ketlen Vieira taking on Miesha Tate. And right now on BetDSI, I've seen this line flip back and forth, by the way, guys. So curious to get your picks on this one. But Ketlen Vieira right now, minus 115, the favorite. The comeback on Miesha Tate, minus 106. We'll start with you first, Nick. Your thoughts on the line?
Well, it opened originally market wide around minus 160 for Vieira. In the betting action came in obviously on Miesha Tate. Tate became a favorite. We opened around minus 130 in Vegas. That was an average spot, maybe 120s, 130s out there for Tate. Now the line's flipping back towards Vieira. So there's been incredible two-way action on this fight. A lot of people can't wait for it to go down. I think it's going to be interesting for sure. So the betting action is definitely telling.
It certainly is. Krause, who are you leaning towards in this main event? Who are you liking here?
Well, at face value, I really like Miesha Tate. I feel like, especially after the Kunitskaya fight, Vieira showed a really big hole in her game with stopping the takedown, especially on the fence. And that's Miesha's game, right? However, I'm fairly close in the industry, and I'm just hearing that hasn't been seen a ton in the gym. So anytime I hear that stuff, I always take it with a grain of salt because you never know if it's true or not. I'm sure she's training. I mean, it's her first main event spot in years. So I can't imagine a scenario where she's not training hard. So I take that with a grain of salt. I'll be honest with you, like Nick said, how the public is going back and forth. I do go back and forth on it because it just depends on, I think it's going to be one of those fights where it just depends on the day. You know what I mean? Like, I could see Miesha grinding this out. I don't know if any outcome would surprise me here. You know what I mean? Like, I could see Vieira maybe clipping her. I could see Miesha getting a late sub. I could see Miesha grinding out a decision. I could see Vieira stopping the takedowns and getting a decision. I could see a lot of things happening here. So it's just really difficult. And the other thing that I want to point out is the X factor here. And that's, I personally am, and I don't mean any disrespect by this because I'm actually a huge fan of hers, but I am not sold on Miesha's comeback yet. For me, this will be the fight that sells me on it. And the reason why is her comeback fight was against Marion Renault. Marion is really good, but stylistically, I don't know if I'm Miesha Tate's coach, I don't know if I could handpick a better matchup for her, you know? And I just think that she got a phenomenal matchup on her comeback fight, and that's not her problem, you know what I mean? I'm just saying this will be the fight that is like, okay, cool, like I'm a believer again, you know what I mean? Like, because that's a long time to take off, and I know she's been in the gym, and I'm not talking bad about her, but for me, if she gets a win here, or even if she looks good, it's not even about a win. Even if she looks good, I'll be back. You know, I'm not on the bandwagon because I'm not off. But it's just like I'll be like, okay, cool, we're ready to rock again. I can start to feel better about placing bets on her and stuff like that. So I'm leaning Miesha, but it's a tough fight to pick.
Nick, do you agree?
I do agree. Well, I lean towards Tate a little bit stronger. I think that Krause does here. the fact for me is, as this fight progresses a little bit, I think it's going to be rough in round 1 and round 2 because Vieira is so strong physically, right? I know she has the power edge. She's going to bring it, but as the fight progresses, she tends to fade a little bit. And I think that's where Miesha, I am a little bit worried with what James just said. If she's not in the gym, maybe that conditioning's not going to be there, but I think she can push the pace, especially around 3, 4, 5, probably get Vieira out of there in the later rounds. I think that's kind of how it plays out here. So I do like Tate's comeback. I think the version 2.0 is legit, man. I mean, she looked great against Renault. I think her striking's improved again. I understand what Kraus said about the opponent. I think is accurate. So you got to take that for what it's worth for sure. But I still like the improvements I've seen in her overall game. I think she had that killer instinct. She did what she had to do there. And I needed to kind of see her come back and return. And I think she really performed well. So for me, I'm a believer in Tate. I think this is a good spot for her to come in here, pick off a very worthy opponent and get that title shot, in the near future. So I think Tate does win this fight.
I think as I vocalize this, like as we talk through this, it's not even necessarily the opponent. Is like I feel like Vieira is going to when Miesha fought Marion, it was one-way action. There was never a point in that fight where she was in trouble. Vieira is going to put her in some trouble. And I just want to see her face some adversity. And we were talking about, those first 2 rounds could be tough. After 5 years off and really even coming back to that fight, you still didn't experience to be the nail. She hasn't been a nail in a really, really, really long time. And that's all I want to see. That's all I want to see now that I'm vocalizing it. It's not even about opponent. It's just I want to see her be a nail. How does she deal with that? Because, man, she's had some life-changing stuff. Exactly. And she will. She's going to see it here. You know what I mean? And I think she's going to pass with flying colors. But I still want to see it.
Yeah, and kind of to echo what you guys said, and it hasn't been very apparent of what Nick and James have said here, be very careful about this fight because there's a lot of interesting things that sort of go into it. You mentioned the gym time. Watch Miesha's interview with ESPN that she did with Mark Raimondi. She's got 2 kids. I've got 2 kids. It's tough, and I'm not having to fight in a main event. So, you do wonder if maybe she is away from the gym. That's because she's spending a little bit more time at home. Again, we're just theorizing here, but it is something to point out. Ketlen Vieira doesn't have 2 kids. She doesn't have to worry about that. The other thing we got to look at in this fight as well is the fact that, like I said, Miesha had that time off. How's that going to impact her? She fought Renault, who we didn't even mention, retired after that fight, right? So she obviously wanted to win, but still, she was already thinking of retirement. So that's something to point out as well. My sort of viewpoint on Ketlen Vieira is because I was at that fight against Irene Aldana, and I remember thinking that you guys remember that was the fight that was supposed to get her the Nunes fight, right? She fought Aldana. She's supposed to win. She was undefeated at the time. What happened? She got knocked out in the first round. Ever since that fight, I don't know what's happened, and I know she did get the win over Zara Eubanks in between there. She just has not looked the same. I think I think that fight sort of exposed a few weaknesses, and we saw that even further in the Kunitskaya fight. So I remember when this fight was first announced, I thought, man, this is a dangerous fight for Miesha. But the more I looked at it, I'm kind of like, well, Miesha's actually fought better opposition. She's been away for a while, but still, she has that. She came back and put on a pretty dominant win over Marion. I can't remember the last time Marion was dominated like that in a fight. So that's something to point out as well. I'm going to lean Miesha in this fight, but I just want to warn people that this could go either way. Honestly, the one thing I do give the edge with Miesha as well, as you guys mentioned the cardio thing, Miesha's had those championship opportunities. She's had those main events. So going 5 rounds, I feel a little bit more comfortable taking her as opposed to Ketlen Vieira because this is probably the biggest fight of her career. So I'm going to go Tate, but again, warning people out there, this is not an easy main event to pick. So.
And Vieira is a known, I don't say she's a gasser, but she's known to get tired as the later rounds go too. So I mean, Absolutely. I think we're all saying the same thing here.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm curious about this co-main event because I've seen people all over the place with picks on this one. We've got Sean Brady taking on Michael Chiesa right now in BetDSI. Sean Brady, the favorite at -161. The comeback on Michael Chiesa +140. Nick, we'll start with you. Who are you picking here? Who do you think gets it done?
I think right now you have to lean a little bit more towards Brady. I think he's a rightful favorite in this spot. I mean, his takedown defense should probably hold up. And if he does, then he has a big advantage on the feet, obviously. And that's the narrative here, right? I think Chiesa gets busted up on the feet if he can't get the takedowns. But Chiesa, his ground game is elite, man. It's such a good aspect of his game. He's so dominant in that fashion. He's been able to get it done time and time again. Even the move up to weight hasn't been a bad thing for him. I mean, he's still physically big, it seems, for this division as well. So I think that there's a lot of advantages on Brady's side, but if he can't stuff the takedowns, he's in trouble probably here. But the other thing you got to factor in here is Chiesa's submission defense, man. It's a killer for me. I think it bothers me. It's a concern sometimes, right? Because offensively, he's so skilled. He can get it done in an instant. But defensively, he falls into those traps sometimes that you're just kind of scratching your head thinking, come on, man. I expected a little bit better from you. But that being said, it's never easy, of course. Much respect to those guys that are in the octagon. But I still lean Brady a little bit here. But it's hard to bet where the current line is. Yeah, I completely agree. Kraus, who are you leaning in this one?
To me, this is a true pick'em fight. There's stuff that I like about both these guys, and I think Sean Brady has more ways to win this fight. I do think he has the bigger toolbox here. He's a better striker. He's got good wrestling offensively and defensively. He's very durable. He's got great cardio. I mean, he's the complete package. Both these guys really are very well-rounded fighters. But Sean Brady is the younger, more athletic, better striking version of Chiesa. However, there's been like, for example, if you look at Sean Brady's last fight, Matthews got him down in the first round, and Brady's got a really good half guard system he uses to get up, and he creates space really well. If Chiesa gets him down, I don't see him getting up. So it's just really tough. It's going to be who is going to be able to implement their game plan and who's going to be able to dictate where the fight takes place. Because I will say this, Michael Chiesa is one of the best, if not the best in the world at putting people on the fence and shutting them down, taking them down and just nullifying anything that they have. So for me, at a pick'em fight, I always have to lean plus money. I'm not saying if you're saying gun to your head, James, who's going to win this fight? I don't know. I don't know. This is a really, really tough fight for me. So for me, if it's a pick'em fight, I always lean plus money. And if Brady was plus money, I would take Brady. If Chiesa is plus money, I would take Chiesa. Right now, I think Chiesa is plus money. So that's where the play is. I'm not saying he's going to win the fight, but that's where the bet is, in my opinion.
Yeah, you kind of summarize it the same way I feel in this fight. To me, this is a dog or pass situation. I'm going to pick Brady. I'll just say that right out of the gate here. But you look at a lot of things here in this fight, and for example, we're just a couple fights removed from Chiesa putting on a pretty dominant win over Neil Magny, and that was a key fight because I feel like Neil's sort of that measuring stick for the weight class, right? If you beat Neil Magny, chances are you're pretty good. You lose to Neil Magny, chances are it's going to be a tough road here. The other thing you mentioned with Brady is the level of opposition. He fought Jake Matthews. The other couple guys he's fought are not really guys that are even around the UFC that much anymore, right? He did have some decent wins on the regional scene, fought Urbina, fought Colton Smith, who won the Ultimate Fighter. He's had some decent fights there, but just in general, I think that Well, no, but
compare resumes, bro.
No, but hold on. I'm just saying that like Urbina was undefeated at the time when he fought him. So that in LFA, I think it was a main event or something. It was a really good fight there. But yes, of course, if you're looking at the level of opposition, Chiesa has been in the UFC forever. He's fought the better opposition. So this is the question here, and this is why Brady's the favorite. He's undefeated, but has he fought a guy like Chiesa so far? Probably not. And that's what we're going to find out in this fight. This is one of those fights where we're going to learn a lot about Sean Brady, because if he can get past Chiesa, okay, he's the real deal. Or is it going to be a situation where maybe it's too much too soon? Maybe like an Edmund Shabazian or like a Johnny Walker, when you get that step up, you tend to not do so well. But I think we're going to learn a lot in the first couple of minutes of this fight, because you mentioned the size. I've seen Chiesa in person a handful of times. He looks like a middleweight. He's huge. I don't even know how he made lightweight. So to me, if Brady can't control him early on and that strength is apparent early on, it could be a very long night for him. But with the fact that Brady's younger, with the fact that no one's been able to figure this guy out, I got to take him here. And the other thing we got to factor in as well, guys, is that what happens if Chiesa loses this? His days as a title, on the road to a title shot are probably done, because it's a very deep division. With Brady, he loses this fight, big deal. He's young enough where he could get a couple more wins and get back in the spot here. With Chiesa, that would be back-to-back losses. You remember that last fight with Luque? I know Luque was the backup for the title fight, but still, he got finished pretty quickly in that one. So that's something to factor as well. But I'm with Kraus here. I think if you're going to bet this fight, I think it's so even that you go the dog money. But I got to pick Brady here just because, again, no one's been able to figure this out.
And I'm a huge Brady fan. I think he's great. I think he's really good. I mean, I like both these guys a lot. I follow both these guys. They're both really, really talented guys. And I've been following Brady since he was before in the UFC. Like, he's really good. I just this is like you said, there's so many unknowns here that it's really difficult for me to pick a winner.
Prop bet of the week. We're going to start with you, Kraus. What do you like as far as prop bets for this Saturday's event?
I'm going to preface this with, I don't know shit about MMA, apparently. Last week was one of the toughest weeks that I've ever had, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't feel much better about this week. However, the prop bet of the week is actually my best play of the entire week. So, and that is, I have two actually, and we talked before, and I'm not going to steal yours because I really like yours a lot, and that's another one of my best plays. I'll let you say that. But my best play of the week is going to be Adrian Yanez, Davey Grant over 1.5 rounds. I think currently it's sitting at minus 150, minus 160. Yanez, if you remember, in his last fight, he started a little slow with Costa. Lost the first round pretty decisively, came back in the second round. Davey Grant has shown over and over again he is a durable guy. I could see him trying to take some shots on Yanez, putting him against the fence, taking some big shots. I see this fight going over 1.5.
Excellent play. Nick, what do you like in prop bet wise this week?
I think the Tate Vieira fight does not go the distance. I mean, you're getting plus money, I think, across the board, plus 110, plus 115s out there as well. I just think later in the rounds, round 4, round 5, one of them is going to find a finish. I just think it's a big test for Vieira. She hasn't been that deep. And I think, again, with what James just said, it just kind of solidifies me a little bit more, too. If Tate's not 100% or, in shape or whatnot, then there might be an issue there as well. But either way, I think there's going to be a late finish in this fight. So I'm going to go with the plus money there. Fight does not go the distance in the main event.
Love it. Those are two really good bets. My prop bet of the week is a fight we just talked about, Chiesa and Brady. I told you guys I'm struggling with this one, right? Like I said, I picked Brady, but I think the value's on Chiesa. Why not make this easy on everyone and just take the fight goes the distance prop? It's plus money right now, plus 120. If Brady wins this fight, how's he going to win it? Most likely decision. That's typically how he wins a lot of his fights. Even if Chiesa does manage to win this fight, I don't think you'll see a submission in this one. I think you'll see him winning a decision. It's only 3 rounds. I think this is a high-level fight. I think this fight goes the distance. Bet of the week. Let's get to that. We're already into the bet of the week segment. By the way, if you're wondering, we didn't have any pros picked this week just because it was the card got switched up and everything. So we're on our bet of the week here. Nick, we'll start with you. What is your best play this week? What are you looking at as far as this card?
I'm going to give out a few. I mean, we don't have UFC on the line, so I mean,
let's go.
I'm on
some extra content here. There we go.
3 plays here. I'm going to start with Tate. I think it's worth a small shot, especially she's turning into an underdog. I think if you're getting even money or anything like that, you got to go with Tate because she should be a slight favorite in this matchup. So small play on Tate, but I think you got to look at some underdogs here. I think you got to look at Tucker Lutz actually at the underdog price. I mean, for me, it's one of those things that Sabatini definitely has a good ground game, but I think Lutz's takedown defense is going to be there to keep things upright and actually outstrike Sabatini here. So at plus money, I think he should be a slight favorite, or this should be a pick 'em fight at worst. So if you're getting plus money, I think you got to go Lutz's way. Okay, and another underdog play, my last play, I think you got to look at Luke Boomy over Godinez. I think that's a plus money play here. I think Godinez does tend to fade as the fight goes on a little bit, and I think Luke Boomy will steal rounds 2 and 3 and outstrike her. So I think she keeps this fight upright, and she actually wins on the scorecards. I like Luke Boomy, I like Lutz, and I think there's a little bit of value on Tate. Those are my 3 plays for the week.
Interesting. Kraus, what are you liking?
I'm actually going to go against Nick on one of these. I hate this week. So don't this isn't like, there's usually a play like whenever the card comes out, I'm like, that's the one. I love that one. And I love that one. And I get all giddy about it. Last week, there wasn't anything that I was like in love with. This week, there's not anything that I'm in love with, but there's a couple that like stand out to me. The play that I was going to give you guys is Pat Sabatini. I like his well-roundedness. I don't necessarily disagree with Nick on this. Like Tucker's got good takedown defense and he's got good striking. I do think Sabatini's as good or I think he's just as good of a striker as Lutz. And I do think he's going to find a takedown at some point in this fight. So I'll go Sabatini. I'll give you guys a lean. I lean Ronnie Yaya. I really like what I think he's flown under the radar a little bit and extremely elite level grappling. And I don't use that term lightly. Like he's not a good grappler. He is an elite level grappler. And I think he flies under the radar a little bit. He's really tough. I think he's really good. And I'll co-sign on Nick's Luke Boomy fight as well. I think I like Loopy a lot. She's a tough stylistic matchup for Loma, but in my opinion, Loma may be the most technical striker in that division, maybe even in all of women's divisions. She is an extremely good striker. And I think Loopy's going to have her hands full getting her down. If she gets her down, big problems. But Loopy's wrestling isn't crazy good. It's good on the fence. I think if she can get past the first round, I think Loma could be in business.
Yeah, quick thing on Loopy. I just spoke to her this week. She literally got the call in Mexico. Like she was out there doing a bit of training, kind of relaxing a bit, and then she gets the call. And I know she keeps her weight low, just to stay ready. But all that traveling, like she just fought not that long ago. And now she's back in there. And, you do have to have some concerns. But I was a little bit surprised to see her as the favorite as well, just because of everything that she sort of had to go through even to get to this fight. And remember, this is at 115. It's not at 125. So when I spoke to her weight was good, but still the fact that she's got to cut that much weight in that small period of time has got to be tough. Also, Kraus, I like your play on Pat Sabatini. Remember, he's a teammate of Brady, so there might be some momentum there. If
those boys come ready to fight, man.
They do,
those
and they've been on a roll.
ready.
Petrosky's another guy that comes out of that gym. They've been doing quite well lately, so we'll see. But Nick brings up a good point about the takedown defense. Anyways, my bet of the week, and I did this a few weeks ago, is I'm going another underdog, and I'm going with Joanne Wood, formerly Joanne Calderwood. She got married to her coach, John Wood, in case people are wondering. But plus 290. What am I missing here, guys? Like, I get that Joanne Calderwood, or Wood, I should say, is coming off a split decision loss in her last last fight to Lauren Murphy. Wood typically loses one of two ways. She loses either a close fight, like she did in the Murphy fight, or she gets submitted early on. We've seen this over and over again with Marina Moroz when she was a strawweight against Andrade, and then against Jennifer Maia. Santos doesn't have the type of ground game that's going to put her away in the first round, in my opinion. I don't see that happening. So if it doesn't happen, what happens? It's probably going to stay standing. Who's the better striker? To me, it's Joanne Wood, and she always makes her fights really close here. Plus 290 is a steal. I don't get it. I mean, maybe it's because she's got a winning streak, but you even look at who she's fought, Jillian Robertson, like fighters that just don't really think like, oh, she's going to really tear up this division. Calderwood's been in there with some of the best. And, you know, if we're being honest here, this might be one of her last chances of getting a title shot, right? Because, you know, she's getting up there. She did sign a new 4-fight deal, but still, you got to know the opportunities here with the fact that, you know, it's kind of a wide open division. I'd say right now, the winner of this fight or maybe Andrea Lee are kind of next in line for Valentina, which is crazy to say, but that's really, if you look at the scope of the division, there's not many people out there. So a lot at stake here for Calderwood, but I think she comes through and wins the decision. You could go plus 290, but if you want to get even more greedier, take her by decision. Joanne Calderwood rarely finishes her fights. Look for that decision prop as well. So I really like Joanne Calderwood here. Just your thoughts on that, because I think the line's way off here.
It definitely is high. I mean, I like everything you said. It's a dog or pass situation for sure. I think Santos is on the rise. There's no question. She's going to be physically strong. She's going to be hard to deal with. But Wood's experience overall and level of competition, I mean, the line is definitely high. The public's coming in that way, obviously throwing her parlays. I mean, that's why the sports books kind of have to play a little bit more defense in this spot, just in case she does pull off the win, right? Obviously, she should be a slight favorite, but the price is everything. And like you said, I think it is a dog or pass situation. So good call.
There we go.
I think Santos is definitely going to win the fight, but I agree with you 100%. I think the line is insane. I don't like. For me, the Santos is something like Nick said. You throw in a parlay to try to cheat some money down or whatever, but that doesn't mean it's a good play. And I 100% agree. Like, even if guys like, and I think this is what is important to talk about, like with good gambling. Like, even if you're going to put Santos in some parlays to try to cheat the money down, I'm going to put a play on Joanne by decision just to try to hedge both sides, right? Like if you parlay Santos and I don't know, Soriano is another big favorite to try to cheat the money down. I'm for sure going Calderwood or Wood by decision just to hedge my play. And it's I don't want to say it's a guaranteed way to win money, but it almost increases your chances the middle.
Yeah,
you know
the likelihood is
so
more often that way. Yeah, I agree.
But
Yeah, you need a bit creative with that.
hedge.
The dangerous part is about doing that, though, is a lot of pros will kind of knock it a little bit because you can end up losing both. You know, again, you have the advantage.
Yeah, you can, but if Calder wins, is she going to knock her out? I mean,
no, I mean, obviously not, right? I mean, her past
you know what I mean? Like,
victory is definitely more by decision, but I think it's a kind of a stay away from point at that, you know, in that spot. If you're going to stay away from, because either if there's value on Santos straight, then you throw in a parlay. If there's not any value in her straight,
yeah,
you got to kind of stay away from that, I think.
Bro, listen, we're not talking to the guys that run the lines here. We're talking to guys that are degenerate gamblers and they want to play every damn fight on this
Action
card.
junkies,
I'm
right?
trying to help them out.
Yeah, there you
go.
I'm
trying to help them out.
No, I totally understand. Right, action junkies, they want to get into action. And again, I think that if Calderwood wins, it's probably by decision. And again, a lot of people are throwing Santos in, so I get it. But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That the risk is it could end up backfiring big time. Calderwood ends up finishing her, and then you lose everything, so to speak, too. But
it's not gambling if you know you're going to win.
There you go.
There you go. That's awesome. Good time to wrap up the show. Again, want to remind everyone, sign up and deposit using BetDSI. Again, there's a match deposit bonus, and there's also the fact that you'll get the autographed James Krause photo. I want to give you guys a little bit more incentive and spread the word. Again, we do the show every week. If you guys can, let people know to sign up using BetDSI. Make sure you do a deposit, and then you'll get the James Krause signed photo. So a lot of incentive to sign up right now. Hope you all enjoyed today's show. We will be back here next week. For myself, James Krause, that is Nick Kalikas. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week on the UFC Pros Pick Show.